Dalton put forward his atomic theory in 1808, and the various postulates or the assumptions of his theory are as follows. The first one was that all matter is composed of extremely small particles called atoms. That means whatever we are having, whatever matter we are having, that is all made of small particles, and those particles are known as atoms. Atoms of a given element are identical in size, mass, and other properties. Atoms of different elements differ in size, mass, and other properties. That means whenever you are taking atoms of a same element, those atoms will have same mass, same size, and same properties. Whereas if you take the atoms of different elements, they will differ in their mass, size, and other properties. Atoms cannot be subdivided, created, or destroyed. That means we cannot divide atom. Atom is indivisible. Matter is made of indivisible tiny particles. Those are known as atoms. And we cannot create an atom, we cannot destroy an atom. Atoms of different elements combine in simple whole number ratios to form chemical compounds. That is similar to the law of conservation, law of constant proportion, where we saw that the elements of a compound are fixed, their number, their kind is fixed, they combine in a fixed ratio. Same is here, that elements combine to form compounds, but they combine in a whole number ratio. In chemical reactions, atoms are combined, separated, or rearranged. In a chemical reaction, the reaction between two reactants to form a product, their atoms are combined, their atoms can get separated, and their atoms get rearranged. This was all about his atomic theory. And this atomic theory, it's just based on the laws of chemical combination, which we studied earlier. Then it's now known that some of the statements of Dalton's theory are not exactly correct. Some of the drawbacks are here. Dalton said that atoms are indivisible, but we know that atom can be further divided into still smaller particles called electrons, protons, and neutrons. See, this was a major drawback of his theory, that he thought atoms were indivisible. We cannot divide atoms. But under special circumstances, atoms can further be divided into its subatomic particles. We know that atom contains electrons, protons, and neutrons. Next, he said that atoms of an element have exactly the same mass, but they can have slight differences. Now, the next drawback was that Dalton said that atoms of an element have exactly the same mass, but it is now known that there are some atoms of the same element that can have slightly different masses. As we know about the isotopes, where we are having atoms of the same element, but they differ in their masses, right? He also said that atoms of different elements have different mass, but some atoms of different elements have the same mass. Another drawback was that his postulate was that the atoms of different elements have different masses. But now it's known that even atoms of different masses, different elements, can have the same mass. This was about his theory, which he gave in 1808. Now, just as all the houses are made up of bricks, in the same way, all the matter is made up of atoms. So these atoms are actually the building blocks of all the matter around us. And if we define an atom, we can define it as it is the smallest particle of an element which may or may not have an independent existence and that take part in a chemical reaction. Basically, atoms are building blocks, smallest particle of an element, and these atoms take part in a chemical reaction. And atoms of most of the elements are very reactive. But what happens? Most of the elements, atoms may or may not have an independent state. That means atoms may exist as a free in the free state or may not exist in the free state. It means that they can exist in a combined form, in a combined state. If we talk about the noble gases, helium, neon, argon, they exist as independent atoms. They are in a free state, they are single atoms. But if we look at other atoms like sulfur, um, it's not an independent. When eight atoms of sulfur combine, then they form an element of a sulfur. So it means sulfur cannot exist independently, cannot exist as single atom. Same happens for phosphorus. When four atoms of phosphorus combine, they form an element. That means phosphorus cannot exist in combined state. They sorry in independent state, they exist in combined state. So atoms may or may not have an independent existence. That means they can exist in the free state as well as in the combined state. This is just the structure of atom, where you can see we are having electrons, protons and neutrons in the nucleus, and electrons are revolving. And this atom is actually the smallest particle of an element. Okay, and the atoms are very small in size, very small. Even you can have an idea of extremely small size of atoms by this fact that if 30 almost 35 million copper atoms arrange end to end in a line, they would cover a distance of about 1 centimeter. That means 1 centimeter is covered, 1 centimeter distance is covered by the atoms of 35 million copper atoms. So they only make 1 centimeter. 35 million copper atoms make only 1 centimeter. That means they are very small in size. Even we cannot even see them under the most powerful optical microscope. Size of an atom is indicated by its radius, which is called atomic radius. That means we can the size of an atom can be indicated by the radius, and the radius is known as here atomic radius. And this atomic radius, the size is measured in the unit nanometer. This nanometer is again a very small unit of a meter. One nanometer is equivalent to 10 raised power minus 9 meter. So very small unit. So we can measure the atomic mass, sorry, atomic radius in nanometers. And the hydrogen atom is the smallest atom of all. It has atomic radius of almost 0.037 nanometers. So this is very, very, very small. We cannot even imagine how much small atom is. Now, atoms are represented by symbols. Now, symbol is a thing like a sketch or a letter which represents or stands for something. When we say the symbol of elements, it means actually the symbol of atoms, because elements are made of atoms. So, whether you say the symbol of element or the symbol of atom, it's the same thing. Here, we are going to discuss the modern symbols of elements which were given by Berzelius, and who proposed the symbols of various elements. But before Berzelius, it was Dalton who first used the symbols to represent elements in a short way. But Dalton's symbols were very difficult to draw and inconvenient to use. But yeah, they are of historical importance. Okay, so now in order to write the chemical reactions conveniently, we need that each element should be represented by a separate symbol, and that was given by proposed by J.J. Berzelius. Okay, now he J.J. Berzelius, what he did basically, see, if this is lithium, this is an element, we can represent it by the symbol Li. Sodium, we can represent the sodium by Na, so that we can make our reactions, chemical reactions, we can write our chemical reactions conveniently, and it will not be time consuming for us. You can write the symbol for hydrogen as H, symbol for potassium as K. It was all proposed by Berzelius. Now the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. Basically, the names and symbols of all newly discovered elements are approved by this organization, that is IUPAC, International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. These approved the symbols of all newly discovered elements, and these symbols have universal importance. That means these symbols are accepted worldwide. Okay. Now, this organization approves the names of elements, and according to it, symbol is first letter of the element or the first two letters. That means whenever you are going to make a symbol of an element, either the first letter of the element can be a symbol for it, or the first two letters can be the symbol. See, if we are talking about hydrogen, what is the first letter of hydrogen? That is H. It means the symbol of hydrogen is H. If we talk about oxygen, the first letter is O. That is the symbol for oxygen. Now, in some cases, the first two letters are the symbols of element. If you see, lithium is having first and second letter as Li, so the symbol is Li. Carbon and calcium, see, both are starting with the same symbol, with the same letter, basically Cc. So C is the symbol for carbon, and the first two letters, that is Ca, is the symbol for calcium. That means the symbol of an element is the first letter, or the first letter and another letter of the name. Okay. Now, um, first letter is always written in capital, and second letter is written in smaller case. That means if you are going to write the symbol, two letter symbol, first letter should always be written in capitals, like this. Here C is written in capitals, but the next letter should be always written in smaller case, that is the small letter. If we talk about the symbol of lead, that is Pb, the first letter should be capital P, then the small letter should be then the next letter should be small b. It should not be like this, small p and small b. It should not be like this, capital P, and it's okay, I guess. Yes, this is right. This is same, okay? It should not be right like this, small p and small b, okay? Now, what happens in the symbol of five elements? If we look at the symbol of sodium, the symbol of sodium, as per rule, it should be S or it should be SO. But here the symbol of sodium is Na. Why? Same happens in the potassium. The symbol should be P or PO, but here the symbol is K. For copper, same. For iron also. So basically, whatever we are studying, we use the symbol of elements. There we are having the English names, whether it is hydrogen, helium. These are the English names, okay? And we are not familiar with the Latin names. Basically, the symbol of all these elements is from the Latin name. So we are not familiar with those Latin names. So most of the confusion arises in the symbols derived from Latin names. So you need to remember them correctly. Here we are having the symbols for from some Latin names of five elements, like antimony. The symbol is Sb. Its Latin name is terbium. Copper, its symbol is Cu. Latin name is cuprum. So basically, it is from this cuprum, the first two letters of this cuprum, that is the symbol of copper. Gold, the Latin name is aurum, so the symbol is Au. Iron, Latin name is ferrum, so the symbol is Fe. Lead, Latin name is plumbum, so the symbol is Pb. Sorry, it's Pb here. Mercury, the Latin name is hydrogen, symbol is Hg. Potassium, kalium, so symbol is K. Silver, argentinum, so the symbol is Ag. Sodium, the Latin name is natrium, that is why we are having Na, okay? Tin, stannum, symbol is Sn. Tungsten, wolfram, the symbol is W. And always write the first letter in capital and the next letter in small case, okay? Now, let's talk about the atomic masses of an element. See, the actual mass of the element is very, very small. See, if you take the mass, one atom of hydrogen, that have a mass of almost 1.673 into 10 raised power minus 24 grams. That is almost 0.0000 up to 24 times, then 1673 grams. Very, very small. So it's not convenient to use such small and complicated figures in our calculations, right? So absolute atomic mass of atom can't be measured, okay? Because the mass of atom is actual mass, absolute mass is very small, and we can't use that in our calculations. So what we did, a relative atomic mass can be known. But what is relative atomic mass? The standard atomic mass is the is comparing the atomic mass of the element with respect to some standard mass of an element, and that standard mass of an element was to be of carbon. So carbon 12 atom was assigned as an atom, was assigned as a standard element, standard atomic mass, and the mass of carbon 12 was assigned equal to 12 units. That means it has 6 protons and 6 neutrons in its nucleus, so its mass number is 12. And this carbon 12 atom has been assigned an atomic mass of exactly 12 atomic mass units. Now, what this atomic mass units AMU is in nowadays, this AMU is replaced by this denotation U, small u. It means units. Okay. Now, this carbon 12 atom has been assigned mass of exactly 12 units. Now, since this carbon 12 atom has been assigned this mass, so it means the atomic mass unit should be equal to 1/12 of the carbon mass of carbon 12 atom. So it means whenever you are relating the mass of any element with the mass of carbon 12 atom, that means we are actually saying the number of times an atom of the element is heavier than 1/12 of the carbon atom, right? So we are comparing basically the element mass of that element with the carbon 12 atom. Okay, so in this way we can define the atomic mass as the relative atomic mass of an element of an atom of element is defined as average relative mass of atom as compared to mass of carbon 12 atom. So whenever you are finding the relative atomic mass of any element, that is defined as the average relative mass of that atom as compared to the mass of carbon 12 atom. So basically you are comparing the mass of that atom with the mass of carbon 12 atom. And suppose if we say the mass of magnesium is 24 units. Now what do we mean by this 24 units? What is the atomic mass of magnesium? Then it means that it indicates that magnesium, one atom of magnesium is 24 times heavier than the mass of 1/12 of carbon 12 atom. If sodium has the mass of, suppose sodium has 23 units of atomic mass, that means sodium is 21 atom of sodium is 23 times heavier than 1/12 of carbon 12 atom. Same goes with if we talk about nitrogen, its mass is say 14 units. It means nitrogen is 14 times heavier than the mass of heavier than 1/12 of carbon 12 atom. So basically we are comparing the mass of atoms with respect to the mass of carbon 12 atom, and the carbon 12 atom has been assigned the mass of 12 units. So this is the atomic mass of elements.